Morning and welcome to our July 2nd Village Board work session. Let's begin with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, King, you want to give your presentation, please?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for your information, village board members, if the governor's July 8th opening statement is going to be true, we're going to try to open up Home Sweet Home on July 10th. The village administrator has given me the protocols that we need to do. I filled them out. I've met with Jonda and Francine, and on Monday we will set the place up, and then if the governor's proposal goes through, we will be opening on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays at the Home Sweet Home, and we'll see how that goes for July, and then we'll reassess at August, and at the July 31st meeting, maybe we could talk if the board has any questions or whatever your opinions are on what we should do after that. Does that make sense?
Sure. Thank you.
Everybody? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to ask everybody a question today. You write down the question, and at the next meeting, we'll go over the answers to the question. And the answer to the question is just one part of it. There's a lot more to the question. Okay. Okay. We'll start with Rose. Trustee Brown. Your question. What was the nickname of the G&T Dairy Store on Gingerbread Lane?
Thank you.
Trustee Harden, what is the oldest retail business on Main Street?
Okay.
Mayor Lawler, what was said to be East Hampton's original name?
Okay.
Trustee Borsak, who had a barbershop on Newtown Lane near Cheatanova?
I don't have to write that down.
Yeah, I know. There's more to that story than just the answer. Okay. And then Trustee Graham, where was the telephone exchange on Main Street in the 1950s?
I know that.
Okay, good. I'm sure you know the answer to all of these, but at the next meeting, we will go into detail about the answers. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we actually had a talk by the one of the women that was one of the telephone operators there a couple of years ago.
In fact, Mayor Rickenbach's wife worked there.
And my mother worked there for years.
And your mother worked there?
Yes.
And so did Elmida.
That's right.
Elmida Rickenbach worked there too, right?
Yes.
And so did, well, now we're going to get into it. I'll just go one more. So did Alice Kelsey, okay? Alice Kelsey lived on my street in Amagansett. And so did Julia Loper. Julia Loper worked at the telephone exchange, okay? This is in the 1950s. After her shift was over, she came home to Amagansett on my street, Abrams Landing Road, went right across the street, told Alice Kelsey everything she heard on the phone. And then Alice Kelsey would go up and down Abrams Landing Road and tell everybody what was going on. Okay, that's it.
They knew it all.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All
we'll
right.
see you next time, okay?
Thank you very much, you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so next up is the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll just give a few minutes to see if anybody's going to call in with public comment. Jason, you'll let us know, please.
We'll let you know.
All right, thank you. While we're waiting, David, could you just give us a quick overview of what's been going on with your department and road paving, that sort of thing?
Sure. Good morning, Your Honor. We've been getting the village ready, of course, for the holiday weekend. We're in pretty good shape as far as the maintenance, mowing, and the flowers are in. Everything's looking good around the village. We're a little behind with some other maintenance issues because of the COVID staffing that we were dealing with for a while, but we did get a lot of stuff in that under the pause phase 1 we were able to do road paving, which is essential work. So I've just been tallying some numbers for the end of the fiscal year. We've done about 16,900 square feet of permanent pavement patch. We've done 35,000 square yards of road paving in 8 locations. We completed the Chase lot during that time period. That's 16,000 square foot parking lot, drainage issues, restriping for safety, and seal coating. We were able to accomplish that. And in the 4 months, roughly, from the first of the year to April, we were able to clean all the catch basins. 2-man crew working almost every day. Like to thank Steve Lynch from the Town Highway Department for letting us use his Petco basin truck. Very helpful and appreciative of Steve's working with our department. And that's pretty much it. We've done some other minor stuff that we were able to accomplish. We got school street signage in compliance with New York State regulations, federal regulations, and little projects like that we were able to do with 2-man teams. And you know, we're going to try to catch up with the rest of the stuff, but we're looking pretty good.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to commend you. I know personally I had mentioned a couple of drainage issues to you, and I just want to commend you on how rapidly you responded and took care of those issues, and as well as the paving issues that you've accomplished, tree trimming, all those sorts of things. And I think you did a terrific job under the conditions that existed for the last few months. So I want to thank you for that, and extend the thanks of the entire board to you. Again, thank you very much.
I'd just like to add that as liaison to the DPW, working with Dave has really been a good experience. He just reached his 1-year mark with the village, and he's done so much in that amount of time. And he's very responsive, as you just mentioned, Mayor, and communicative. And I appreciate that. We've received many compliments from village residents. We just received one the other day about our renewed efforts as far as the tree trimming, the drainage, and the overall cleanliness, and the paving as well. Down by the train trestle is starting to shape up, and it's nice that that road is open now, Mill Road. So thank you. And to DPW and all of your staff as well. We appreciate all of their work during COVID. I know they had a lot of hats to wear, and they were doing different things during COVID, from the partitions at Village Hall to ensure safety to just the other last week we asked you to do some picnic tables for Herrick Park so that people would have a place to eat outside due to the COVID restrictions on indoor dining. So we thank you very much for all your work.
It's just want to say, Dave, everything looks great. Come a long way, and
Yeah, I totally second that, David. You've done a superb job. I did have a question about the Chase lot yesterday. When I drove in, the striping is done for the perimeter spaces, but not the center spaces?
Yes, we eliminated the center spaces as part of the contract negotiation with Chase for safety. It was very tight in the parking lot, and there was a number of vendors in there, so we felt to put it back to the old way. Drew had weighed in on that last year on the redesign, and basically the original design that was there. And
I think we agreed to that at a board meeting, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought for some reason we were still going to have center spaces, but I guess not.
That was the original. That was one of the concepts. Yes.
Right.
And I'd just like to say, this has been a team effort in the last year. I have a great crew, and the support from Village Hall and the board has been fantastic. So I'm happy to be here, and we'll just keep plugging.
Can I ask a quick question? I was not aware of that. Is the Chase lot, is that village owned?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
Why was I'm just curious why, I assumed it was private property. Why did the village do I'm just curious for my own education.
Becky, are you on? You want to address that? Basically, we lease that, Bob, from the bank for extra parking. We use that. But Becky, do you have anything further
I
on that?
assumed it was their own parking. I was not aware of that. Okay.
No, there's an agreement that they have their parking there as well, but there are extra spots, and we lease that for minimum. I think it's $1 a year. I'm not sure.
Right, and the village does the maintenance.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I was not aware of that. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jason, do we have any callers?
Currently, no callers on the line.
Okay, so then let's move on to the discussion portion. 55 Main Street, Easement. Billy, hey, Jack, do you have any comments, please?
I could provide the board with a brief summary. So this is the property at 55 Main Street. It backs up to the Rudeshant parking lot. And the applicant owner of the property applied to the village or requested from the village an easement so that they could upgrade their septic system and utilize a portion of the Rudeshant lot for their new septic system. That's a request that the board has seen before. I think you're all familiar with the Starbucks property is probably the most recent where they upgraded their septic and put portions of it within the parking lot. And in order for the county to sign off on the design, the county requires an easement, which ensures that the village grants permission for the system to be located off the owner's property. And so the applicant came to the board, requested an easement. They had originally submitted a design for a conventional septic system, and we had reviewed it in-house. The board had discussed it at a meeting, I think, I don't know, maybe eight or 9 months ago. Drew Bennett had reviewed the plan. David Collins had reviewed the plan. The board had provided some comments. We encouraged the applicant to propose an innovative alternative system. They have resubmitted revised plans. They've incorporated all the comments that we've made, and it seems like it's everything that the village had requested in terms of design and accommodations for an IA system. So it would be up to the village to decide if they wanted to grant the easement to the applicant, and then I believe they're in the process of securing the county health department approval.
Okay, thank you. Ken Cullum? I'm sorry, go ahead, Becky.
No, I was just going to say, I just wanted to clarify for the public that this building was the former 5 and 10 years ago, and it's right next to what we call Millstone Park, that open space in front of the Ralph Lauren Western store, is it? Just so people know what we're talking about.
It's the juice bar, Bon Nuit, that's all 55.
Right.
Yes.
Ken Cullum, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing at all.
All right, good enough. All right, so Bob, do you have any comments for us?
In no particular order, I want to thank you guys. Billy has been fantastic through this whole process, very, very helpful. So I thank you for that. I think, and things have changed since we first applied for this, but with everything that's happened within the last, let's say, 6 months now, with the whole COVID thing and everything that you and the board have done in terms of some, let's say, relaxing some of the regulations for this particular summer, this was something that I always felt was something that was going to be really good for the community, regardless. Just the vitality that food and drink will bring, and again. And these are small little spaces. I mean, at most, it's going to be the juice press instead of trucking their stuff in every day, making it on site. Perhaps someday, if they leave, I could put an ice cream shop there. I could put a coffee bar, something along those lines. I spoke to Ken this morning. I'm sorry. Yes, I did speak to Ken this morning. I apologize. I spoke to Ken this morning. I spoke to Ken this morning about some of the outdoor seating, and that seems to have been very well received from the community. I've heard great feedback. Ken felt the same way. So I think this is all, going in the right direction for long-term vitality of the community and so on and so forth. It also, from an environmental impact, it's a better system than what's currently there. So that's certainly a good thing. And that was my intent in doing this. I just felt that it was something good for the community going forward. And so on and so forth.
Thank you very much. And I just want to thank you for your cooperation in this and, offering to put in the new system as opposed to what had originally been proposed. And just so the public is aware, this is not uncommon for municipalities to do. It would be would be impossible to put this kind of a system on the actual property itself. So oftentimes it's necessary to do what we're doing or what we would like to do and grant an easement so that this system could go in the parking lot. And of course, it would be maintained by Mr. Ratteni, and any improvements that need to be done would be done by him and with his approval and our approval. So I think all in all, it's a good thing for the village. And I personally am happy to, see this happening. Does anybody have any other comments or questions for Mr. Ratteni or his engineer?
I have a quick question, just for information. When is this going to be done, and how long will the parking lot be torn up?
Paul, if you want to answer it more directly, I mean, I believe we discussed it, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think considering the time frame we're in right now, and we're still dealing with the health department, more than likely, I would recommend the springtime. And Paul, I believe we felt that, I mean, the system itself, a week to 2 weeks max.
Okay.
Correct me, Paul. You're better at that than I am on that particular issue.
That's correct. The installation itself would take no longer than 2 weeks, likely closer to that 1 week time frame.
Yeah.
And we would, although we're still working on Suffolk County Health Department approval, it would likely be completed this spring. We would have their approval and be ready to complete that installation.
And we would try to time it, everyone. It's sort of the way I try to do things anyway. We'll be ready to go. So the day we put the shovel in the ground, we'll just, we'll go gangbusters on it. And in a normal year, as we all know, let's for argument's sake, say April 1st, it's usually reasonably quiet at that time of the year. So it would be, I think, the more ideal, and weather-wise, we're fine, in terms of temperature and stuff. So I think that would be the ideal time to do it. That would be my goal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Bob, I would just like to say that I think that this easement serves a real public interest in protecting our waterways. And I am just sorry that we don't have the wastewater treatment plant for the whole commercial core, that you have to go through and do this. But
it would be a great long-term solution. Listen, I'm a businessman, and it does come down some dollars and cents, but I think this is the right thing to do. Maybe somebody will follow my lead and do another one someday, and so on and so forth. But I thank you for your comment, Arthur. I appreciate that.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the wastewater treatment in. And
that would be a
timely thing, because frankly, that would be a great way to kind of revitalize the whole commercial core.
That's a game changer, and I completely agree. And that's above my pay grade. That's up to you guys. So
well, that's the plan. So
yeah, Barbara and I are working really hard on this. So
it makes sense in today's world. It just makes sense to do that for not only for a vitality reason, from an ecological.
Yeah, the water quality in the village is something that we can't go back and fix.
Correct.
We have to work on it proactively, and we're doing that. So,
okay.
I also support the easement and so forth, and I appreciate Bob doing the IA septic system. I had requested that he consider that at our last meeting, and hopefully the wastewater treatment facility isn't too far off. And in the meantime, we appreciate you stepping up and doing the right thing. as we know, the IA septic does reduce the nitrogen and some of the pollutants.
Is there some movement in, I mean, I haven't followed that closely. Is it moving in that direction to go that route with the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a plan from our consultant. We are going to be talking with the town shortly because we would like to think that they could participate with us in this wastewater treatment. Like any of these things is not happening tomorrow, but we are we're working on this.
It'll be a few years, but it will be happening.
Something like that will take some time to design and get it.
Right.
But we're, full bore on this.
Right. So I think we're all in agreement. So I think, it is going to be reality, but again, it's a long-term project. So it'll be a few years, but I think we're all working towards the same goal here. Again.
Okay, can we just turn back to the easement discussion? I just want to confirm that the board wants to move forward to grant the easement. You will have to adopt a resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Has an easement been drafted yet, or are we?
No, Beth, I don't believe we have a draft yet.
Okay.
No.
Draft. And it also, when the board is ready to adopt the easement, it will require a secret determination that I can prepare for the board.
Okay. So can we be prepared for next meeting, Becky?
July 31st?
Yeah. Or is that?
You should be, yes.
Okay. All right. Fun. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Paul, do you have anything else to add or any questions?
No, I think we're in good shape. I appreciate all your time and feedback given the project.
Same here, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great day.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is LoSAP, a length of service award for fire department and ambulance. Becky, could you make comments on that, please?
Sure. For the benefit of the public listening in, the length of service award program is a pension-like benefit municipalities can provide to their volunteer ambulance and firefighters for the volunteer service that they give to their fire department or ambulance corps. The amount of the pension benefit is based on years of service. And in order to have credited years of service, volunteers must meet a minimum requirement of 50 points for each year. Points are assigned based on certain responses, activities sponsored by the department or the corps. So due to COVID, there was a concern among many volunteers who were not able to either participate on calls or other departmental or corps functions because of COVID. So in light of that, the New York State Legislature recognized the fact that many members may not meet their 50-point minimum requirement. And therefore, on June 17th, Governor Cuomo signed legislation that allows municipalities to change their point accumulation system for these volunteers. So in order to give flexibility to point accruals for volunteers, the local municipality must adopt a resolution changing the point award system. And this is not subject to a referendum in the village, like any other changes to a LoSAP program must be put out to referendum by the municipality, but the state law does not have that requirement here. The village's program administrator is PenFlex for both departments, and with the board's approval to make those changes, they will draft a resolution for your consideration that you would adopt at your next meeting. Also on the call today, if they would like to offer any comments, are Ambulance Chief Lisa Chard and Fire Department Chief Jerry Terza.
Sure. So Lisa, would you like to make a comment?
Sure. I wrote something out so it can be brief. If I just talk off the top of my head, I tend to go longer than needed. With Governor Cuomo's signature on the LoSAP bill a few weeks ago, he is affirming what I believe this village board already knows, and that is that volunteer ambulance workers and firefighters are critical assets to almost every community in New York. we use for recruitment and retention of members. It's also a small way of saying thank you and showing appreciation to our volunteers. The manner in which, the manner in which East Hampton Village Ambulance Association members have stepped up during this worldwide and very difficult pandemic has been extraordinary and more than inspiring. Not to mention all of the sacrifices made by them in which used to be considered normal times. Our approximately 40 members answer on average 1,300 calls a year. This Board of Trustees has always supported our organization as well as the fire department, I'm sure, 110% over the years, and that support has been very much appreciated by all of us. On behalf of the East Hampton Village Ambulance, of which I've never been prouder to be a part of, we now openly ask for your continued support of the temporary changes to the LoSAP program.
Thank you. And thank you very much for what you and your first responders do for this community every day. Chief Terza, do you have any comments?
Sure. I'd like to piggyback what Chief Shard had to say. We'd like to acknowledge and recognize the efforts of Assemblyman Thiel and State Senator Kaminsky on getting this legislation through. There were a number of different proposals out there. This has been a concern of ours since the very beginning, one of many concerns we've had. The LoSAP program is an extremely important retention tool that we use for our volunteers that have provided just an absolutely amazing level of service during all this. On the fire department side, our call volume has skyrocketed to levels that we've only seen 2 other times in our history. And our members have not skipped a beat all throughout this thing. Structure fires, high angle rescues, the occasional plane crash, you name it, our volunteers have been there. Assemblyman Thiel came through with something that was common sense and comprehensive, and was able to get it passed through with all the other legislation that's rumbling around Albany. The village administrator's office has been great during this entire time with her staff, trying to help keep tabs on this. It's been, like I said, it's been a concern of my membership as well as Chief Shard's. We had to take our membership safety into consideration. They're out there interacting with the public on a daily basis in new and unique ways. We had to put some restrictive guidelines for their safety and the safety of their families and the public at large. So we're telling people, we want you to keep responding, but we need to do so in a regulated manner. That was keeping some people away. We didn't want to penalize them. So having legislation like this is extremely important. And the village, again, has been extremely proactive with our LoSAP program. And again, I'll go back to the village administrator's office and her staff. They've been great with making sure that our volunteers don't not only have the best benefits out there for the members' sake, but also for the public's sake as well. So we thank the village's support of us. And again, I couldn't be any prouder of my membership either. They really, everyone stepped up to the plate in ways that we never thought that we'd have to. So we thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I was speaking with Chief Chard yesterday, and some of her volunteers, and I'm sure Barbara knows, Trustee Borsak knows this very well. The ambulance corps going out on the fever cough calls, which are probably the most fraught with risk for COVID-19. Chief Chard has some members that can't afford to get sick because they're taking care of people at home. And to be able to have this program in place so that these people do not lose points because of their personal situation due to this health crisis, I think is key, and I support it 1,000%.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify that this is a resolution that would apply to this year only for the public. I just want to clarify that it's for this year only. It doesn't apply overall in the future. It's just for this year.
Because of COVID.
Right.
And I totally support it as well. And of course, I don't think any of our first responders or volunteers should be penalized for following the safety protocols because of COVID, which reduced in some situations the amount of volunteers responding to a call. They get points for meetings, which those at times didn't occur, although I think we all made the transition to Zoom meetings and virtual meetings. And I would just like to thank all of the work, really, of the first responders, our volunteer ambulance workers and fire, and dispatch too, through this whole thing has been exceptional. So anything we can do to support them, I agree with.
Right. I agree as well. And I think we have one of the best ambulance and fire department memberships here in East Hampton. I think we're very, very lucky. So I fully support it.
Great. I think we're all in agreement that we owe all of our first responders, fire and ambulance, a debt of gratitude for what you do for this community every single day and the sacrifices that you make for this community every single day. So thank you very much. And I think that we're in agreement that we want to move forward with this for a resolution for next month's, the end of the month's meeting. Are we?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll put it on the agenda for July 31st.
Okay, and I just want you all to know, I don't want to see the ambulance or the fire department have to come to my house, okay?
But if we have to, we'll be there.
I was just going to say, are you telling us not to come if we get called?
Well, maybe.
Sometimes you don't get to choose.
Well, sometimes Katie would probably prefer you didn't come if something happened to me.
We have that. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all laugh that I'm worth more on the slab than I am on the hook. So,
We'll come slowly.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you all very much. And so that brings us to the resolution portion of our meeting. Barbara, could you start with resolution
Mayor?
number? Yes, I'm sorry.
I wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And basically what it is, we have on the agenda today to approve a $860-something bid to dredge the town pond. And, just a couple of weeks ago, we were saying that we weren't going to have any big projects this year. And now we're talking about doing this big project, $250,000 more than we thought it was going to be when we were first looking at it. And I think that we ought to consider this. Frankly, I'm all in favor of dredging the pond. But I think there are several other things that we probably need to do as well as dredge this pond. And I think that we ought to discuss that if we're going to be borrowing money for a capital project like this, we also ought to look and see what other things we need to borrow money for and make it all part of one big capital project. I mean, we have tennis courts on Herrick Park that are unusable. We have dump trucks at the DPW that have holes in them. We have no VACOL truck. We have to borrow one from the town to do it. We have a street sweeper that is marginally useful. We have a lot of things that we need to probably look at. And if we're going to be going to the credit markets, for this pond project, I think we ought to look and see everything else that we need to be looking at. I mean, I think just to say, all right, let's just do the pond. Let's do the pond. But if we're going to be borrowing money for this, why don't we look at the other things that we really need to do as well?
Trustee Graham, I believe I recommended to the board in my memo about this project that very same thing that you will recall, that not as to just borrow for this one project, that my recommendation was to do the various projects that a lot of the departments did not get their requests fulfilled in this budget. So that has already been recommended to this board.
Right, I understand that, but I think that we ought to codify what those projects are before we go ahead with this.
I agree, and the board will have that conversation when they go to actually borrow for the project, which will not be until the spring.
I think historically we have always done that. If we're going to borrow, we look to see what other things we might want to borrow for and include them in the same bond. So I think absolutely, I think we would do that.
So I did also have the question. I do realize that Becky said that we could also borrow for other capital projects, but I was wondering what priorities this board would include in that. And I also was surprised that, we were considering a capital project of this magnitude, although I totally support it. And I realize that town pond does need to be dredged. But just a couple of weeks ago, we were advised to, hold tight since the COVID situation was uncertain and things would be in flux and we weren't sure about our revenue and so forth. And I'm not sure what has changed in those 2 to 3 weeks that we are moving ahead with.
Well, Trustee Brown, as I also said in that memo, that the borrowing, if it's done in the spring, the payment for any of that borrowing would not be until the subsequent fiscal year, 21-22.
I agree, but it will still have, at one time to start paying into it. And I was just surprised since that was, we knew we had a conservative budget. There are many things. The fact that we have Herrick Park that the condition of is, unfortunate, and that we have playing fields and courts, rather, tennis courts that are unplayable at this point. I hope that is one of the things that we would consider, as well as some of our infrastructure equipment from DPW and the rescue truck from the fire department. I mean, we have a lot of big ticket items. And I know we said that we would consider some of the funding, and I'm wondering if we need to codify, as Trustee Graham said, what those things would be.
I think we might be a little bit early with that. Right now, we're addressing the particular resolution that's on the agenda for today, and those other things that you speak about will be addressed in due course and in time to include them if the board decides to go ahead with certain of those projects. It will be in time to include all of those in the bond offering. As we've said before, and we've had this conversation before, as you well know, it's not fiscally responsible to always just borrow for one particular project and then go and borrow again for another and then for another. So we like to include them all in a single bond issuance if we can. And we've spoken about that before. So I think we're all on the same page as far as that is concerned. And we all would like to see all of our departments have as much equipment as we can possibly give them. But we do have an obligation to the taxpayers, and there's only so much money that comes in. And so that's what we're here for, to make those tough choices. So right now, this particular item is on the agenda, and we're going to vote on it. And the other items will be put on the agenda at the appropriate time. And we'll have a chance to discuss those. So,
okay, I just want to make sure that we actually do that. I mean, we're here talking about the pond, and nobody can criticize dredging the pond. We all know that it's necessary, but I don't want this to stop here. I think there are many more things we need to address, and frankly, I want your assurances, Mr. Mayor and fellow trustees, that if we do move ahead with this issue on the pond, I want your assurances that we're going to move ahead on these other issues in a reasoned and sane pace.
Well, also, Trustee Graham, I did make the recommendation. I certainly wouldn't back down from that recommendation to the board.
And that would be a board, and that would be a board issue, and the board would decide on that. So for you to be asking for a definite answer at this time, I'm telling you that these things will be considered in due course, and that I think we're all on the same page as far as that's concerned. And that's exactly what will happen.
It just sounds to me like I would prefer that we all agree that we are going to move forward on these other things. Maybe not every single one of them, but I think there are many more things we need to do. And I just want the assurance from the board that we are all in agreement that we're going to do that.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what you're looking for, but we're all in agreement that we need to do these other projects. And we'll see when the bond, when we apply for the bond, what's going to be included in it. That will be part of future discussions.
We had a consultant come up with a plan for Herrick Park. He delineated 2 phases so it could make it more manageable for us to address. And I'd like us to discuss where we stand with that project as well, because I think that should be a priority, as well as our infrastructure, the drainage, the curbs, the sidewalks. I think Dave Collins and DPW has done a great job with what they have, but we're borrowing equipment, say the backhaul from the town for drainage, which, you know, is integral to our water quality and definitely affects that we clean out our drains and so forth. And we need the proper equipment to do so. And I realized, you know, that this is a conservative budget. I was completely fine with that. So I was just surprised that we're going to move forward.
It's not affecting this budget.
It's not affecting the budget.
Moving forward with a big project like this, when we have other projects and other requests that were made by various departments, the fire department as well.
Agreed, and that is the recommendation to the full board.
That's true. And we've talked about those other issues, and the fire department just got a great deal of equipment, as well as the ambulance. So all those things will be considered and are being considered. And you know that they've been spoken about before. So we're all aware of what needs to be done. And we'll consider those things. Right now on this particular agenda is this particular item, which we will put up for a vote. And the votes will be what they are. But yes, all those things that you mentioned are things that need to be done and are being considered, and you know that. All right. Is there anything else?
With the tennis courts, we have to make a decision, I think, about them as well. I was just wondering what the status of that was, Mayor.
Well, I think we still need to have some more discussions about, you know, exactly what and where we're going to do, what we're going to do first and where we're going to spend it. And that will be for further discussion. That's not on the agenda for today.
Just to go back to the tennis courts, we were waiting for quotes. The highway superintendent has been attempting to reach out to vendors. And that is the last that I have updated the board on. We reached out to the school district about doing the crack, fill, and seal. You know, and again, I advised the board that I asked the highway superintendent to reach out, and he is in the process of doing that. So we can't move forward until we have a quote.
Thank you, Becky. Anybody else? Any other comments? Okay, so if we could move forward, please. Trustee Borzak, would you read number 1?
Yes.
Resolution?
Yes, I'm going to make a motion to approve the proposal received from CDM Smith in the amount of $17,300 for consulting services related to the PSEG power transmission line installations within the village roadways.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None, so carried.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the hourly pay rate increase for lifeguards Will Schlegel and Georgia Plankster, I don't like to mispronounce names, from $13 to $16.50, effective retroactively July 1st, 2020, as per beach manager J. Tulp's June 22nd memo.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Third resolution, make a motion to approve listed professional consultants for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Clark and Marshall, real estate appraisers. Richard Barons, DB Bennett, consultant engineer. East End Computers and Consultants, wetland flagging. Friedman, LLP. Lamb and Bernowski, LLP, special counsel. Jennifer Messiano, grant consultant. Norton Rose Fulbright, LLP. Sadie Levine and Chiaco, CPAs. Tarbett, Lester and Schoen, PLLC. Vincent Toomey, labor attorney. And George H. Walbridge Company, surveyors.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 34-2020, authorizing Village of East Hampton to use funds received as premiums from the 2020 Series A bonds to pay costs of issuance or interest payments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize payment in advance of audit claims for public utility services, postage, freight and express charges, medical insurance premiums, and employee reimbursements for the 2021 fiscal year.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve non-contract employee and appointed officer salary schedule effective August 1st, 2020. Committees, official depositories, official newspaper, and professional consultants listed.
I just want to make a revision on that resolution. It is only approving the salary schedule. The depositories, newspaper, and others will be done at the organizational meeting in September.
Okay.
Thank you, Becky. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried.
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 35-2020, hereby amending conditions of employment for new longevity schedules for non-union employees effective August 1st, 2020.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
Make a motion to notice to bidders for uniform dry cleaning. Bid opening to be held at 2 p.m. on July 28th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried. Next is to make a motion to approve the employment of 2020 seasonal beach staff effective immediately as per July 3rd, 2020 list submitted by beach manager Jamie Tulp. And they are Catherine Powell, Haley Neeland, Kevin Bunce, and Stella McCormick as lifeguards at $16.50 per hour. And Rock Hamada, Graham Albin, Sheridan Hauser, and Liam Folks as beach attendants at $12 per hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried. And last is to accept the $863,500 bid received from Patrick Bistrian Jr. Incorporated for the Town Pond Dredge Project as per the April 13, 2020 bid specifications.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. That includes the resolution portion of our meeting. We're about to go into executive session. Does anybody have any comments before we do that? Okay, so we're going to go into executive session, and if we need to reconvene, then we'll notify the news media. Do I have a motion to adjourn and go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.